Phoenix Ikki is a legendary knight in the story, and was the first to be able to use the bronze armor that represents this constellation. That's because since the mythological era, the Phoenix armor hadn't accepted any knight it deemed worthy to wield its power. Therefore, Ikki was the first and only Phoenix Knight who made history by facing 5 of Athena's most powerful enemies. Hello, Knights and Amazons. Welcome to the Sempre Quis Saber channel. I'm Wes, and in today's video, I'm going to show you the 5 legendary enemies who faced Phoenix Ikki in the classic Saint Seiya saga. Are you curious? So go ahead and click like, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and let's get into this awesome video. Sempre quis saber. Number 1, Sea Dragon Kanon. To start our list, let's go to the bottom of the sea, straight to the underwater sanctuary in the Poseidon Saga, where Kanon, the Sea Dragon Marina General, is. Kanon is the twin brother of Gemini Saga. He spent years locked up in the Cape Sunion prison, a cave at the base of a Greek cliff where the tide rises to drown the prisoners, and which legends say was built by Athena herself in ancient times. There, Kanon found the Sea Emperor's trident and ended up freeing the spirit of Poseidon. A born manipulator, Kanon not only deceived the god, but also took on the Sea Dragon scale to orchestrate the destruction of humanity from the sanctuary. The confrontation between Kanon and Ikki takes place at the North Atlantic Pillar. The dynamic of this fight is fascinating because Ikki already had the experience of having faced Kanon's brother Saga. At first, Kanon seems to have the absolute advantage by using his golden triangle, an absurdly powerful spatial distortion technique. Unlike Saga's Another Dimension, which throws the opponent into a vacuum in space-time with no certain destination, the Golden Triangle sends the victim directly to a dimension connected to the Bermuda Triangle, trapping the target between this world and the other. Kanon manages to throw Ikki into this dimension, believing he has defeated the immortal bird. But as the rule goes, the Phoenix always returns. Ikki uses his Cosmo to tear through space and return to the battlefield. The climax of this confrontation is not just physical and psychological. Ikki quickly realizes that Kanon has a Cosmo identical to Saga's, but he throws a painful truth in the face of the Marine General. Kanon is just his brother's shadow. To break Kanon mentally, Ikki uses the Phoenix Phantom Fist, an attack that strikes directly at the opponent's central nervous system, creating terrifying illusions based on the victim's greatest fears and sins. Kanon is forced to relive his manipulative actions and accept that he is not a god, but rather the cause of countless deaths, driven purely by ambition. Although the fight ends with Ikki heading toward the Temple of Poseidon, Kanon's level of destructive power, which rivals the elite of the Gold Saints, guarantees him the status of a legendary enemy for Ikki in this saga. The guy fooled gods, folks. You can't underestimate this guy. Number 2, Ayakus of Garuda. Moving on to the dark and brutal Hades saga, we meet the judges of the underworld. And here, the power scale takes a huge leap with Ayakus of Garuda, one of the 3 judges of the underworld, the Kyotos. Within the hierarchy of Hades' army, the 3 judges, Radamantes, Minos, and Ayakus, are the highest-ranking specters, possessing power that even makes the Gold Saints break out in a cold sweat. Ayakus is the bearer of the Apories, the black armor of the underworld of Garuda. In Hindu and Buddhist mythology, Garuda is a gigantic divine bird, known for being the natural predator of the Naga serpents and the mount of the god Vishnu. And it's poetic that the mythical bird of the underworld is going to face off precisely against the mythical firebird. The fight takes place in the 5th prison of hell. Kanon of Gemini, who by this point had already redeemed himself and was wearing the gold armor, was getting beaten up by the 3 judges at the same time. Radamanthus, Minos, and Ayakus surrounded him, and Ayakus was ready to finish off Kanon. It's exactly at this desperate moment that the flames of Phoenix cut through the dark skies of the underworld, and he arrives in epic fashion to save Kanon. And what makes Ayakus so formidable is his grotesque speed, which at first even surpasses Ikki's perception, and his technique, the Garuda flap. Ayakus throws his opponent into the air at an indescribable speed and marks an X on the ground. The victim falls exactly at that spot, in a deadly drop that shatters even the toughest bones. He does this to Ikki the first time, and the firebird falls hard. But that's when our Phoenix's combat wisdom shines. Ayakus tries the same move a second time, and Ikki, applying the famous golden rule that a technique doesn't work twice on the same night, not only intercepts the attack, but also turns the situation around. Frustrated, Ayakus resorts to his ultimate and most lethal technique, the galactic illusion, This move creates a dimension filled with giant eyes and unleashes cosmic shockwaves that destroy the opponent's body from the inside and outside. Still, Ikki rises, and the clash between the underworld bird and the immortal bird hits its peak. Ikki surpassed Ayakus in speed, a frightening feat, since Ayakus was considered the fastest of the specters, with a well-executed phantom attack and the flawless execution of the phoenix bird. Ikki defeats Ayakus, showing that beating the judge of the underworld one-on-one isn't something just anyone can do, and proving Ikki had surpassed the Gold Saints by this point. Number 3. Shaka of Virgo. The battle in the Zodiac House, the opponent was Shaka of Virgo, the man known throughout the sanctuary as the reincarnation of Buddha, and the man closest to God. Shaka is a monster when it comes to power. Since childhood in India, on the banks of the Ganges River, Shaka would communicate telepathically with Buddha himself, understanding the mysteries of life, death, and human suffering. He spends almost all his time with his eyes closed, and that's not just style. It's a terrifying tactic. By depriving himself of sight, Shaka accumulates his cosmo indefinitely, and when he opens his eyes, the power released is overwhelming. When Ikki arrives at the House of Virgo, Seiya, Shiryu, and Shun are passed out on the floor, defeated with absurd ease. The fight between Phoenix and Virgo begins with Shaka demonstrating his mystical supremacy. He uses dimensional control techniques, such as the cycle of the 6 realms of existence, which sends the opponent's soul to wander eternally through the 6 worlds of Buddhism. The world of hell, the world of hungry spirits, the world of beasts, the world of asuras, the world of humans, and the celestial world. And Ikki experiences horrors in each of them, but his stubborn willpower brings him back. That's when Shaka opens his eyes and unleashes the treasure of heaven. This technique is the supreme art of the House of Virgo. It perfectly unites attack and defense. Once trapped inside the Buddhist murals of the technique, the opponent cannot attack or escape and gradually loses all 5 senses. Shaka takes away Ikki's sense of touch, smell, taste, sight, and hearing. The Bronze Saint becomes just an inert body, almost like a vegetable on the floor of the 6th house. But the tactical genius of Phoenix Ikki reaches its peak here. He allowed Shaka to destroy his senses on purpose, to limit himself in the same way that Shaka did by keeping his eyes closed. By having all 5 senses extinguished, Ikki's cosmo exploded far beyond normal, allowing him to reach and transcend the 7th sense. With his monstrous cosmo burning, Ikki grabs Shaka from behind, and both disappear in a gigantic explosion of energy, launching themselves into the vacuum of space. And Ikki didn't defeat Shaka in the traditional sense. It was almost a sacrifice for a technical draw. Facing the divine power of Virgo and managing a draw is a feat that cements Ikki as a living legend in the sanctuary. Number 4, Gemini Saga. Now we have the personification of inner conflict, light and darkness in a single body. The man who ruled the sanctuary as the Iron Angel for 13 years, Gemini Saga, the false Grandmaster. Saga is often considered the most powerful of the Gold Saints of his generation. His story is tragic. He suffered from sharing his body with an evil spirit. Saga's good side was considered an angel on earth, loved by the people. But his dark side killed Grandmaster Cheyenne of Aries, tried to murder baby Athena, and seized the throne, starting the terrible Battle of the 12 Houses. And Ikki enters the scene at the absolute climax of the saga. Seiya is crawling, barely conscious, desperately trying to reach Athena's statue to get the Shield of Justice, the only item capable of healing Sari from the golden arrow piercing her chest. Saga intercepts Seiya and is about to kill him when Ikki appears in the Temple of the Grand Master. And from that moment on, we witness one of the greatest beatings ever seen in the series. The difference in physical power and cosmo is overwhelming. Saga is a force of nature. The fight is marked by insane mental clashes. Saga attacks with the Imperial Satan, a legendary technique exclusive to the Grandmasters. This attack goes straight to the victim's brain, completely controlling their mind, forcing them to kill the first person they see, and it can only be broken after the target commits murder. And Ikki counters with his Phoenix Phantom attack. The impact of both attacks and the illusions creates a mental spark that stuns them both. But Saga's cruel side is relentless, and when the physical fight resumes, Saga decides to end the game and unleashes the most destructive technique of the Gemini constellation, the Galaxian Explosion. The power of this attack is equivalent to the force of dozens of planets being crushed and exploding simultaneously in space. Saga pulverizes Ikki. He disintegrates the pillars of the hall and destroys parts of the Phoenix armor with terrifying violence. Ikki serves as a human shield and a temporary sacrifice so that Seiya can move forward. And the monstrous resilience of Phoenix is the only thing that separates Seiya from certain death. Saga humiliates Ikki in terms of raw power. As he endures galaxies exploding on his body, surviving against the absolute Cosmo and the tyranny of the most feared gold saint of his era. Number 5. Thanatos, the god of death. He is not just any god, but the very personification of the end. Thanatos, the god of death, and the battle against Thanatos takes place in the Elysian Fields, the utopia of the underworld, the perfect paradise reserved only for the gods and a very few heroes, chosen in the mythological era. The bronze saints managed to cross the Wall of Lamentation and then pass through the hyperdimension to reach this sacred land to save Athena, who is trapped in a blood-stained jar by Hades. But there, the welcoming committee is made up of the twin gods, direct generals of Hades, Hypnos, the god of sleep, and Thanatos, the god of death. While Hypnos is calm, calculating, and prefers to avoid bloodshed whenever possible, Thanatos is arrogant, sadistic, explosive, and cruel. He is deeply offended that mere mortal humans have set foot on the soil of the Elysian Fields. The disparity of power here is not between knight ranks, it's the insurmountable abyss between human cosmic dust and eternal divinity. Seiya, Shiryu, Hyoga, and Shun are massacred. Even when the Emperor of the Oceans, Poseidon, sends 5 gold armors across dimensions to help the bronze saints in the Elysian Fields, hope lasts only a few seconds. Thanatos pulverizes the gold armors of Sagittarius, Libra, Aquarius, Virgo, and Leo, simultaneously as if they were made of cheap, thin glass. It's shocking to see the most powerful armors on Earth turning into shards of stardust. But before this scene of total apocalypse, and with his reliable Phoenix armor, he even managed to hit and break Thanatos' helmet, surprising the god of death. This is the moment when the god of death completely destroys the Phoenix armor. And it was only possible to defeat this god after Seiya awakened his divine armor, which was the miracle brought about by the blood of the goddess Athena spilled on the bronze armors. Did you like the video? Comment below which legendary enemy Ikki faced that was missing from this list. Thanks for watching until the end. See you next time in your infinite Cosmo. Ignite your infinite Cosmo.